Good evening, Community Chapel. Good evening, all of our family, friends, and loved ones who has joined us on tonight. This is our Tuesday night Bible study, so we thank you guys for joining us. In the midst right now, we do have behind the cameras, we do have the Right Reverend. We have the dude, John Moore. Then we also have my father in the mix. Shout out to them. They will be in the room on next week. Definitely. There you go. Then we'll be in the room definitely on next week as we do the podcast titled, that podcast will be titled Church Things. So if you have received the questions from us, please answer those questions. If you have not answered them, please answer them. Get them back to us. If you have something in mind, don't be ashamed. It should be a fun night. Again, join us next Tuesday, 7:30, right here. It'll be the dude and myself in the mix for the podcast, and we'll be talking about church things. Should be lighthearted, some fun, just kind of to kind of end off the month. So please join us. Remember that bring your sense of humor, bring your smiles, bring your interactiveness. Jump down into the chat, say a little something, throw a little laugh emoji, whatever the case may be. Let us know that you're with us. If you agree with some of the stuff that we said, kind of give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. You've had different experiences and stuff like that. So we're going to bring all those things to light. We're going to bring them to the forefront, kind of chuckle about them and all that type of stuff. So look forward to that. Tonight is the final night of the Bible study, which we've been titling We Have All We Need. And so we've been talking about that all month long, about how we have all we need and how God has provided for us. And if we, even at times, and we look back on different scenarios and different situations, we saw that God was already working. He had already lined things up for us, that things were already in our pathway. We were already on that trajectory. We didn't even know it. But then there was also times that God was already moving and aligning some things in the background, and we didn't even know we were on that path. We didn't know that we're going to take that. We're going to take that journey. We didn't know that that's where it was going to be, as we talked about on last week. That things were that sometimes we were made and we were designed and we went through things just for a time such as where we are, and just like a time just like this. So as we finalize the Bible study for this month, I'm excited. Of course, I always say that. But I enjoy these two stories within the Bible, and I couldn't think of a better way to finish off the Bible study. And I titled it tonight, as we've been having different titles to go along with We Have All We Need. Tonight we're going to talk about oil and manna. Oil. I heard it. I heard the countryness in me. The oil. You heard that? Yeah, I heard it. The oil. So oil and manna. Oil and manna. And so first of all, we're gonna start off in King James. We'll start off with the King James version, not the King James, but the New Living Translation, coming from 2 Kings. So join me there in 2 Kings. We're going to be reading the 4th chapter, the 1st verse through the 7th verse, the New Living Translation version of it. Okay. As we dive right in, I'm gonna get in the way and I'm gonna get out of the way, but I think these are very familiar stories, but they're fun stories, and we can learn from them as we understand that we have that all we need. So here we go. 2 Kings, the 4th chapter, the 1st verse to the 7th verse. It says, "One day the widow of a member of the group of prophets came to Elisha." We're talking about the prophet Elisha. "And cried out, 'My husband who served you is dead, and you know how he feared the Lord.'" She started to bring her credibility as she come into the prophet Elijah. You can tell that she has a concern. There's something going on. She's in need of something, and she let it be known. "This is my credibility. My husband, not only did he serve you, but you also know that how he felt about God. You understand his loyalty and his fear of God. But now the creditor has come threatening to take my 2 sons as slaves," because she couldn't pay because the husband was gone. The form of payment the best form of payment she had to settle her debt was her sons. "What can I do to help you?" Elisha asked. "Tell me, what do you have in your house?" "Nothing at all except a flask of olive oil," she replied. And Elijah said, "Borrow as many empty jars as you can from your friends and neighbors. Then go into your house with your sons and shut the door behind you. Pour olive oil from your flask into the jars, setting each one aside when it is filled. So she did as she was told. Her sons kept bringing jars to her, and she filled one after another. Soon every container was full to the brim. Bring me another jar, she said to one of her sons. There aren't any more. And he told her. And then the olive oil stopped flowing. When she told the man of God what had happened, he said to her, now sell the olive oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on what is left over. And so we know the very familiar passage of the woman and the oil. And as we just read, as she went to Elijah and as she was talking to Elijah about this, about her circumstance, about her situation, and about her plight with how they're trying to take her son and her difficulties, the prophet goes and tells and asks her a question. And he asked her, what do you have? That question is so strong and so powerful. He asks, what do you have? And her response to it is nothing at all. That's how she starts off with. Nothing at all, showing you that what she has, she understands that she has something. She said, I had except a flask of olive oil. If anybody understands what a flask is, it's small. So she understood, but it was already explained in the way that she responded that this flask was not valuable, and the oil within the flask was also not valuable because it was not enough. It wasn't going to do anything. But only thing that she had was the flask and the oil. So when he asked her, what do you have? She said nothing except this. And how many times have we said something similar in our lives? When someone has asked us, or what can you give, or when it's come to, are you qualified for this? Do you have the skills for this? What do you have, or what do you bring to the table? And how many times have we said something similar and something like nothing? I found myself saying that recently in a situation that I'm in particularly, and I constantly have been saying basically nothing except this little bit. Compared to what everybody else has, compared to what the creditor is looking for, the creditor is looking for a substantial amount of something, and I don't have that something. All I have is just this flask and this oil. But what Elijah tells her to do is to take what she had and go to others. Take the jar, take what you have, and then also start to go to others. Start to lean on others and borrow as many empty jars from your friends and your neighbors. Go to other people because they have something that you need. It might not seem like it's significant, but what they have will help you out. And I want to push, as community is in the name of our church, I want to push how important it is to have a community and to lean on a community. That we have with the communities that we have what we need, but sometimes we have to just rely and lean on others and trust in others. I love how my father used to say and my mother used to say to one another when they were going through certain situations and they couldn't really see, like say for instance, my dad couldn't see, he couldn't see how a certain situation was going to work out, or how this was going, how things were going to get better. And he would tell her, I'm okay, cool. And my mom would be like, we're going with it. We're going to go with it. And she'd be like, I'm going to go on your faith. And he'd be like, I'm going to go on your faith. If you believe it and you trusting in God, I'm gonna lean on you because right now I don't have enough of it. I probably should have. I should probably have this big tub full of faith, but I'm walking around here with this flask. It feels like nothing, but I'm running around with this flask. I was just joking earlier and talking about me and my wife and how I might have encouraged her a little bit when we were coming up in our careers and in our family. And we would get down. We had lights. We had food on the table and all that type of stuff. We were living check to check. And there'll be times to where she'll look up in the account and she'll be like, man, we only got $50. And I'll be like, man, we got $50? Let's go eat. And so, it was sometimes you have to lean on others because we're looking at what we have and telling ourselves that it's not enough. But the importance of community is that we can grab just those small things we can grab hope from here, and we can grab enthusiasm from here. We can grab faith from this individual. We can grab joy from this person, and to have a solid and a solid foundation, to have a supportive community is something valuable that we need to go look for. And I think that we overlook it at times. We get into such a day and age, or in such a time to where we're trying to pick ourselves up. And we're getting back to that kind of the way it was many years ago, that we're just trying to pick our own ourselves up by our own bootstraps. And we're like, it's all on me. It's all on me to get through. It's all on me to be strong. It's all on me to move to my next career. It's all on me to move to the next position. When we can lean on those within our community and establish a community, because Elijah spoke to this woman and she found, when he said to go to borrow, she never responded and never said, reading in between the lines, she never said, well, I don't talk to nobody. I don't have anyone that's going to be there to support me. When he tells her to go and borrow, from family, from friends and neighbors, she does exactly that. And there's no issue, there's no pushback. We don't hear anything into that. Right? It's not written, but she's receiving these jars, and she's receiving enough to where, and think about it, as we talk about how important sons are during this time. That the debt that the collectors are trying to get is 2 sons worth, heirs to the name. Imagine how deep and how massive that debt is. That is 2 sons worth. But she was able to borrow from her community and realizing that she had more people on her side than she thought she did. She had more support than she thought she had. Because when she went to go borrow, they brought so many jars that she was able to go and pay her debt, and then have some left over for her sons to live, for her and her sons to live. Sometimes we are lacking certain things, but others that we surround ourselves with the right people. We surround ourselves with the right souls, those with the right mentalities, is that there are times to where they have an abundance of something, and that in places where we're lacking certain things, and it can go vice versa, that we can have an abundance of one thing and where they are lacking one other thing. I have a tendency, it's in my nature, that I can always try to. I can find the bright side of all things. And I remember someone telling me years ago, it was like, I come and tell you I tell you about my struggles, because I know that you're gonna always find the bright side of what to look for in the scenario. And I didn't ever notice that, but she had brought that to me, and I thought about that even to today, and I was like, I'm conscious about it now. But we, as a community, as those that we are around, that we connect to, it's very important to see that God has placed people in our lives, right? God moves in so many different aspects and different facets and different methods that we'll overlook community and how impactful the community can be, and how God has placed these individuals in our lives to benefit us, and we'll overlook that. And it's very important because we see it in the Bible over and over again, that communities are coming together, people are coming together, and they're growing together. It's not just whenever Paul is speaking to the church, he's not speaking to one set of people or just one person. There's always a group of people growing together, learning together, becoming closer with one another. Jesus brought in disciples for individuals to come together to have a community that was willing to learn, a community that was willing to grow and expound their minds, expound their understanding, expound their relationships with God. Community is always important. When Jesus was when he had difficult days, he leaned on his disciples. He leaned on others to open doors for them, to feed them when they were hungry, to house them when they didn't have places. Communities are extremely vital, and they are very important, and we can learn so much from them. We can grab and grow from those individuals, and I believe that God has placed us in the communities that we are, and to allow us to grow and to refuel whenever we're feeling empty. I thank God for mine. I was just telling somebody the other day that you believe that when you're young, the people, like the friends that you have when you're kids, you believe that's going to be your friends forever. You think that this is going to be my circle forever. If I go tell my younger self now what my community looked like, they're like, that makes absolutely no sense. That community doesn't look like what we are doing right now. And I thank God for that, for my community, because again, like I said, I've grown from these individuals. I've been challenged by these individuals, and I am here today with my successes, and I'm here today in spite of losses, but have been encouraged through those times with the community that I have. And so I think we need to look at that and how important that is. So that is the oil. As we talked about, we have all that we need in the verse, in the way of community. Jumping down to Exodus, jumping back up, I guess you can say. We're going to jump up to Exodus. Jumping back up to Exodus 16, and in chapter 16 about Exodus, we're going to talk about manna. And of course, if you know me, anytime I speak, I love to talk about any and every scenario with the children of Israel. I love it because the children of Israel, those leaving Egypt, they are there's not one society, there's not a generation, there is nothing or no one that these people don't fit into. They do everything. They did everything. They were the good, the bad, and the ugly. They did everything. And we can learn so much from them. So, in this one, this is where we get to the manna. They have now exited out of Egypt. They have been out for some time. We'll read that and start jumping into verses 1 through 8 real quick. We're gonna skip through Exodus and we'll get through it. So I won't hover too long. Excuse me. Again, we start off. Then the whole community, we just talked about, then the whole community of Israel set out from Elim and journeyed into the wilderness of Sin, between Elim and Mount Sinai. They arrived there on the 15th day of the second month, 1 month after leaving the land of Egypt, right? So we got our dates, right? They arrived there 15th day of the second month, 1 month after leaving the land of Egypt. So we know they've been out here now for a month. They're trying to figure out life. It's been a month now. Verse 2. There, too, the whole community of Israel complained about Moses and Aaron. They're free, but now they're complaining. We're free, but we ain't free the way we were supposed to be free. If only the Lord had killed us back in Egypt, they moaned. There we sat around pots filled with meat and ate all the bread we wanted. But now you have brought us into this wilderness to starve us all to death. Then the Lord said to Moses, look, I'm going to rain down food from heaven for you. Each day, the people can go out and pick up as much food as they need for that day. I will test them in this to see whether or not they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day, they will gather food, and when they prepare it, there will be twice as much as usual, because this will be going into the Sabbath. Verse 6. Excuse me. So Moses and Aaron said to all the people of Israel, by evening you will realize it was the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt. In the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your complaints, which are against him, not against us. What have we done that you should complain about us? Then Moses added, the Lord will give you meat to eat in the evening and bread to satisfy you in the morning, for he has heard all your complaints against him. What have we done? Yes, your complaints are against the Lord, not against us. So just to give it, so we're free from Egypt. And now again, so what we prayed for, again, as the children of Israel, what we prayed for, God has given us. So we prayed for freedom. God gave it to us. But what happens? It didn't look like, and it wasn't going the way we thought freedom was supposed to look like. As soon as they crossed out of the gate of Egypt, they should have been walking in milk and honey. They should have had everything they needed, everything that they wanted, everything they desired. But now, the fact that their prayer has been answered is outshadowing what they're looking at the moment. How many of us have gone there and prayed about something? I laugh all the time about, especially with jobs. And we pray about something. We pray for a job, and you get that job, and then you be like, you know what? I don't like this place. I don't like this place. Now I always go back when I hear people all the time. Especially like I'm training apprentices, and they want to become apprentices and all that type of stuff. So when they come, and then we have them doing all this stuff, and then they're learning and they're struggling, and then they get back out to the field, and then they're being required to start climbing, and they're required to start working and doing some more stuff. And they'll come back to me, and they'll be like, man, they got me doing this, they got me doing that. And I always go back to that Transformer 2 reference with Shia LaBeouf. He was like, no, don't complain now. This is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. You just didn't know what it was going to look like. You saw the glory in it, but you didn't know what it was going to take. So the children of Israel have been complaining. Moses and Aaron haven't heard this complaint. They've been back there complaining. Moses and Aaron are trying to lead the people, they're walking along with them. They're hungry, they're thirsty, just like them. They're not ahead of them eating steak and lobster while they back there starving. They walking right in front of them, along with them. But then the Lord begins to reveal to Moses and Aaron, hey, the people are complaining that I ain't answered their prayer right. But watch, boy, I'm such a good God. Watch what I'm going to do for them. I'm going to bless them. And so Moses then goes back and he begins to tell the people, I'll be the same way. If God reveals that to me, I'm coming back up to you. Pastor Manny might be a little stoic, and he'll hold on to it, and he'll watch you squirm a little bit, and then be like, I knew what God was doing. Me, I'm like Moses, I'm coming back to you, be like, let me tell you, God about to bless y'all. Y'all issue with God, not me. I ain't do nothing. Me and Aaron, we led y'all out of there. We did what God told us to do. Your issue is with God. Your issue is not with me. But I love that as we're looking at that before we move down to verse 12 through 18, we're already seeing that God understands that we don't understand. We don't know what we're asking for. We don't know the plan. We know what we want, and so that's what we pray for. Because again, we're talking about all that we need. We have all that we need. And God understands that sometimes we don't know what we're praying for. We don't know what we're about to walk into. We don't know how challenging it is about to be. We don't know. He knows that we're going to forget that we're actually in victory. Because we prayed about this and God rewarded us and we're in victory. But we're going to forget about it during this time because it's hard right now. But even though we get to those places, we have all that we need because we have a God who says, even though you feel this way, even though your complaints are against me, not against Moses and Aaron, even though you have a complaint against me, I love you so much. Watch what I'm about to do. And not only watch what I'm about to do, this test that I'm about to give you is going to be a reminder that, again, you are walking in victory. This is what you asked for, and you're not walking in this scenario. You're not walking in this situation alone. You're not by yourself. That this is hard, but you're in victory, and you're in victory with God because God approved it. God ordained it. God ordered the steps and allowed us to be in this place. So he told him, this is what is going to happen. Moving down to verse 12, he said, I've heard the Israelites' complaints. Now tell them in the evening you will have meat to eat, and in the morning you will have all the bread you want. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. Not just I'm just the Lord God. I am the Lord your God. Not, basically, let me identify, let me hone it in for you people. I'm not, here it is that I'm not looking at the Egyptians. I'm not looking at the Pharisees. I'm not looking at the Amorites, the Hittites. I'm not looking at any of those people. I am the Lord your God. That evening, vast numbers of quail flew in and covered the camp. And the next morning, the area around the camp was wet with dew. When the dew evaporated, a flaky substance as fine as frost blanketed the ground. The Israelites were puzzled when they saw it. What is it? They asked each other. They had no idea what it was. This is something, God was presenting something that they had never seen before. They seen quail. I think that's why God did the quail first. They seen birds. They seen what they could do with the birds. So he gave them meat. But then God, and so somebody could say, that's just a coincidence that the birds flew around here and all decided to land in our area. We've seen birds before. But then God presented a new form of food to them, a new source, a new substance to them that they had not ever experienced in their life. They didn't know what it was. It was unfamiliar. They had to ask each other, had you ever seen this? Had you ever seen this? Girl, I ain't never seen this. Man, this can't be real. So the Israelites were puzzled when they saw it. What is it? They asked each other. They had no idea what it was. And Moses told them, it is the food the Lord has given you to eat. These are the Lord's instructions. Each household should gather as much as it needs. Pick up 2 quarts for each person in your tent. So the people of Israel did as they were told. Some gathered a lot, some only a little. But when they measured it out, everyone had enough. Those who gathered a lot had nothing left over, and those who gathered only a little had enough. Each family had just what they needed. Though God has presented now a substance and a source that has never been seen before, God has measured it out perfectly for his people. Again, you are walking in victory, and that everything that we need in our lives, God has given us exactly what we need. There are those who need a lot. God is filling that void. Those who only need a little, God is filling it to where we have exactly enough for what we need. Though we might forget that we are, again, I can't say it enough, though we might forget that we are walking in victory, you have what you need, and God has supplied this to the children of Israel. They have been complaining and having issues about what it's supposed to look like, but yet they didn't have to work. God did all of the work so that they could have food day and at night. They didn't have to worry about it. God was providing it. You continue to read the Israelites, of course, this was the test. So if anybody knows the children of Israel, the community of Israel, the people of Israel, anybody think that that they obeyed all these rules, that they obeyed to get exactly what they needed. No, they some hard-headed individuals. So if you read the story, they went out there and there was some that went out there and thought they were going to get a little bit more so they can save it for later. But when they woke up the next day, it was all maggots and it was all nasty. God told them, you get what you need. I have what you want. I have what you need. But then what do? We try to grab it and be like, God, you know what? I got it now. You don't really know. That's what we tell God when we try to take over it ourselves. God, you don't really know how I need it. You gave it to me, but now I'm going to tell you how it's supposed to go. This is how you gave me this much and it's working, but I'm going to let you know I need more. And so they went through that time, and God had to remind them, hey, I have already, not only have I supplied it for you, you're going to be able to observe the Sabbath. They come on the sixth day before the Sabbath, I'm going to bless you with twice as much. So when the Sabbath day comes, you don't have to go out there and you don't have to go out and work. Use the Sabbath to worship. Use the Sabbath to relax. You're still going to have enough to eat. You don't even have to worry about it. That struggle and that stress, I've taken that away from you. God is trying to take that level of stress from us that we continue to tell ourselves we don't have enough. God is continuing to work this. I'm taking that stress off of you. At times, I'm going to give you more than you need. But during those times where I'm not giving you more, understand that you have enough. They were worried about the next day. Day 1 through 5, worried about the next day. God said, I'm taking care of day 1 through 5. Now, on the 6th day, I'm going to give you double because you're going to need more for the Sabbath. I've already provided that for you. But understand that what I've given you is all that you need. Jumping down to finish it off on tonight, Exodus 16 to 31st through the 36th verse. It says, the Israelites called the food manna. After all this, once they got their life together, when they got everything all together, they called the food manna. It was white like coriander seed, and it tasted like honey wafers. They basically got to eat dessert at night, and it was good for them. I want to eat dessert at night too sometimes, and I want it to be good for me, but it's not. A good honey bun before bed, I think, is a good idea, but my body will be upset with me. I'm already gaining some weight as I digress. Verse 32, then Moses said, this is what the Lord has commanded. Fill a 2-quart container with manna to preserve it for your descendants. Then later generations will be able to see the food I gave you in the wilderness when I set you free from Egypt. Again, he brought it back. This is what God brought back into the remembrance. This is the food that I gave you when you were set free. When you were walking in your victory, God blessed you with this food. Moses said to Aaron, get a jar and fill it with 2 quarts of manna. Then put it in the sacred place before the Lord to preserve it for all future generations. Aaron did just as the Lord had commanded Moses. He eventually placed it in the Ark of the Covenant, in front of the stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant. So the people of Israel ate manna for 40 years until they arrived at the land where they would settle. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. The container used to measure the manna was an omer, which was 1/10 of an ephah. It held about 2 quarts. So at the end of it all, for 40 years, from that day on for 40 years, God provided food. They didn't have to hunt. They were basically walking in Eden. You go back and look at Adam and Eve. They didn't have to hunt for anything. They didn't have to look for anything. God just provided. It didn't look the way that they thought it was going to be, but they were basically walking in Eden. God was providing everything. Only thing they had to do was continue to put one foot in front of the other. There was a goal. There was a place in mind. There was already something set up for them, already in position, already ready for them. Another level of victory was ready for them. Only thing they had to do was continue to trust in God day by day and continue to put one foot in front of the other. God was going to provide in the morning. God was going to provide in the afternoon. God will do the same thing in all of our lives if we want to and choose to trust in him and see that we're already walking in victory. But all that we have to do is continue to place one foot in front of the other and recognize that God has been supporting us all this time, and then allow others to see and understand, as Moses and them were doing for generations to come. They're going to know that God provided for 40 years. When we had no tools, when we had no plan, when we had only thing we did, we had a direction of let's go this way. We had no vision, nothing, but God provided for 40 years that we might have everything that we need. Coming out of victory, we walked in a way of life that we didn't understand what it was going to look like, but God provided during that time. It was 40 years before they made it to the land promised to them. But even though during that journey, God never left them, God provided day and night. God will do the same for us. Be reminded that you have the victory. Reminded that we are a child of God, and that we have manna each and every day, and remind others that God is still working. We still have breath in our body. We still have an opportunity to give God praise, to give God worship, and also always remember that he's doing something day after day. What we call small is something so big, and it is sustaining our lives. People can think, you can go back and look at it and be like, okay, it's just quail in this manner. That small gesture sustained life for 40 years. What we think is small is sustaining us. It is vital to our success, and it's vital to us reaching the goal that God has designed for us to go to. I hope you enjoyed this Bible study on tonight. I hope you learned something. I hope I said something that you grew, that you got a better understanding of some of these stories or different parts of the Bible. Again, join us on next week for the podcast. For the dude and I, Pastor Manuel will be behind the cameras. The Right Reverend will be behind the cameras. Should hear some laughing, a lot of talking, all that type of stuff. We have multiple mics up here. Might need to get another boom mic so you make sure everybody can hear it, be heard in here. But yeah, so join us on next week. We thank you guys. Thank you for your continued support. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, please go there now and subscribe to our YouTube page. We thank you for your love. Father, we thank you on today. We thank you for all that you have done. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for walking with us. Thank you for supplying us with all that we need. You've given us the gifts. You've opened up the windows of heaven and poured out blessings. You've remained the same, wonderful, awesome, and amazing, and we thank you for that. We ask that you will continue to guide us. Those who are here in this home, those who are watching online, those who might be watching later. We ask that you would move and bless in a mighty way. We glorify you. We lift you up. We thank you, and we seal all these things up. In your matchless name we pray. We thank you. Amen. Good night.